a little bit of a dance thing going there. I don't know. Can you see me in like the behind the scenes room, Jeff, or no?
No, okay, I can't. I just saw that.
Once I hit the music, it starts playing. I gotta get like another countdown ticker in here because I love like the vibe of that one. But I'm getting like I need like some other moves and stuff. Get me got it up. So hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Social Media Pie. Very, very excited. Got a special guest with me here today, Jeff Laskowski. How you doing here today, Jeff?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, it is awesome to see you. It's been a bit since we've seen each other in person. I think wasn't it February was probably the last time we saw each other in person?
It was February or very early March where we had the MSC Detroit event with you live and in person.
Yes.
And that was one of the last events I've been to since then, really.
Isn't it amazing? And we went out with the splash shoot because that was a fun event. I mean, I think we were there for a half day at Automation Alley out in Troy. And I think you did the marketer's oath with me. Do you remember
that
video? Yep. And it was funny because it was, I think it was like February 21st. It was kind of like end of the month. And I didn't publish the video right away. And then everything happened with COVID. And I didn't want to have a video going out with all these people doing these announcements and this oath.
Right.
So I waited several weeks. And then I'm like, business has got to keep going here. I know, and I kind of like in the video, I'm like, this was filmed pre-COVID. We weren't in person,
Right.
But at any rate, it's nice to see you again, Jeff. How you been doing?
Doing good. Doing really good. Really, we've been super busy since this whole thing started. It's just been, we've been busier than we ever have been, to be honest with you.
Really?
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. Hopefully it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, I want to welcome everyone who is watching us, whether you're watching us on Facebook, maybe you're watching us on LinkedIn, or you're watching us on YouTube. I would love it if you could please leave a comment below because, guys, we can't see you. We don't know who's watching. I want to make sure Jeff feels good and he knows that people are watching our conversation here today. So help a sister out if you wouldn't mind. Please comment below. Let us know where you're watching from. And then I also know that the live stream is working. And I see there's a couple comments coming in from LinkedIn right now. This person, it says LinkedIn user, so you probably have your profile locked down. It's a little bit more private. That's why we can't see you. And then I do see Phil is watching us from Pickering, Ontario. So we're in Michigan, so I'm going to go ahead and call it, Jeff. We are international with today's
That's right.
Right? That's how we do things. So they're awesome. So guys, continue to drop your comments. I'll pull your comments up on screen throughout our broadcast here today. And Jeff and I actually originally met through a common connection, Jan Griffiths, and Jan had referred me out to Jeff when we were starting to talk about doing a workshop for MSED, Marketing and Sales Executives of Detroit. And then Jeff, your company, you actually ended up booking me for training for your team for LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, they MSC Detroit. Well, Jan reached out to me and said, "Hey, would your company like to partner on this?" And I was like, "Well, let me run it by the run up the flagpole." And they said, "Well, we'd like to check it out first before we turn it into a large scale event." So we brought you in. You did the session with me and the staff, and I mean, I've said it before. Your knowledge of LinkedIn blows me away every time I see you. You say that you think LinkedIn. But you're like, did you know all these other things that you had no clue happened?
Right, like, oh, right. My favorite is when I do the training and people are, I'm going to take the comment off the screen so you can see the people will be in the audience and they're like this. They're like, I know LinkedIn. I don't need this train. And like in your case, it was like, bringing me in to train your team. And then like by the end of the training, they're kind of like relaxed. They're leaning forward. Where was that on the screen again? They're raising their hand. I mean, that makes it all worthwhile for me. So
yeah, and to be honest with you, I brought you in not for me. I brought you in for the rest of my staff because I knew LinkedIn better than anybody. So I didn't really need you to come in. But
you were this person, right?
I not physically, but I was like, I know what I'm talking. And then this, as soon as you started, I was like, what? Oh wow! I was like, I was there then. I mean,
that's awesome. Good. But it's great to, we originally had that connection and then we did the training with your team as well. And we've just remained connected online and I've been kind of watching your progress. And the great thing about social media is even with a global pandemic, we can still stay connected with one another and people like Jeff can reach their target audience online. So before we get into the conversation here today, and I want to remind you what we're talking about here today is we're going to be talking about problems, challenges, opportunities, redefining your reality. And Jeff's going to lead us through a very lively conversation there. But before we do that, Jeff, why don't you take a few minutes, if you could, tell us a little bit about who you are and what OESA is about as well.
Okay. I'm the Senior Manager of Communications for the Original Equipment Suppliers Association, OESA. We are a trade association for automotive suppliers, obviously, and our purpose is to champion the business interest of the supplier community. So anything to do with suppliers, best business practices, networking. We do OEM town halls with the heads of purchasing of pretty much all of the OEMs. Those are usually our bigger events. We do, peer councils where, people in the same functional job area can get together and discuss best practices, challenges. I happen to be involved with the Communication Executives Council. Kiana here runs our.
I was like, I'm hoping you saw. I'm like, I told Jeff in the pre-show, I'm like, don't feel like you have to read all the comments, but if you see someone go ahead and stop and say hi.
Well, you also told me to look at the camera, so I'm trying to do that too. So Kiana runs our Young Leadership Council, which is something we launched. 10 years ago or so. And I was actually in the inaugural one. I was in the first one that we did. So it's a little different because that's just high potential employees of our supplier or even our affiliate members. So we put them in this group and they just talk about, what's it take to be a leader? And, some of the challenges with these younger folks are how do they manage people that are older than them and they think they know everything. And, they're, a couple years away from retirement. And why am I going to listen to this kid? And, that's one of the challenges that we help them deal with. So yeah, I do the communication executives, the Automotive Public Relations Council. But, if you check out our website, we've got 16 or 17 different, from HR to CPO, CEO, technology. We've got everything covered. And we just launched a diversity and inclusion forum for people that want to expand their diversity and inclusion in the workplace.
Awesome. And I'm just popping your website up on screen right now here, Jeff. Yep. So I know you talked about events, and I know you guys are doing a lot of events. Did you pause it all, or did you quickly convert to virtual, or what's happening there?
So we had some events scheduled when everything shut down. Of course. So we initially, I don't say we canceled them, but we postponed them until we brought everything online. And kudos to our event team because they were quick to get us some new digital platforms. And we were looking at moving to digital anyways, because that's been something our members have been requesting of us. So this really accelerated it.
Right. I mean, you had no choice, right? It was
like jump in with both feet because we didn't have an option. But it's been a challenge. It's been learning. But like I said, we've been doing more of these virtual events than we've done live events. In fact, this year we're on pace to almost, if not double, the amount of events we did last year.
That's great.
So we're doing. I mean, if you look at our event schedule, we're doing 2 or 3 events a week. Not to mention our council meetings. So we are constantly hopping.
That's awesome. And I'm just pulling up your events page right now. And
there's one going on right now.
I was going to say, wait, is today the 17th? So yeah, you got one going on right now. And are your events open only to OESA members, or is this open to the public as well? Anybody can sign up?
Most of them are open to everybody. Usually the OEM town halls are members only. We have a couple that are members only. But for the most part, they're open to pretty much anybody.
Okay.
Of course, members get a discount.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the goal, you want to drive people to become members of the organization if it's a fit. I always like to, sometimes I'll check out an organization once to kind of figure out, is it a fit for me? And then I know as a member, you always get better benefits, better pricing, more visibility. So that's kind of the goal. So there's my plug for you, Jeff, from marketer to marketer kind of thing. So as we get into the conversation today, guys, so when I do these social media pie, when I kind of set up the pre-event promotion, I'm broadcasting it. I'm putting messages out onto different networks, and I put it on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And Jeff, I don't remember which community it was, but you said something like, looking forward to being on the show with Brenda, where she's going to grill me about this topic. And I'm like, grill you? I'm like, I'm a very friendly, but guys, now I'm like, challenge accepted. We're going to grill Jeff today.
Bring it.
So my goal is to make sure that we have a good, plentiful a number of questions for today. So I'm going to encourage you guys to comment below, ask a question, to join us in the conversation as because we're going to grill Jeff. Challenge accepted. Challenge is going to be met here today. All right.
Fantastic.
So Jeff, let's turn it over to you. So we're going to be having this conversation about problems, challenges, etc. So why is this an important topic to you? And then let's jump right in.
So, when you sent me the invite, it said you wanted to inspire. So I thought one thing that I do is I annoy people by, it all started with a boss many years ago, first job in my career. I'd say, oh, guess what? We got a problem. He's like, no, we don't. We have a challenge. And I was like, okay. And he just kept on doing it and doing it and doing it. Finally, I'm like, guess what? We've got a challenge. And he's like, good. And I just sort of, it does kind of change your perspective in looking at situations. So that then morphed into, well, we've got an opportunity. So, I'd go to somebody's office. I'd be like, hey, guess what? We've got an opportunity. And they'd be like, oh no, what is it? Because they know what I'm really saying.
Like Jeff's translation of a problem, right? Like that's your code word.
I've got an opportunity for you. And they're like, oh no, come on. What is it? Because they know it's really, it's not a problem. It's an opportunity. So, it's basically trying to redefine your reality, what you make of the situation. You can make it a problem, or you can make it an opportunity, or you can, make it a challenge and create the opportunity. For example, like I just mentioned, we had a problem when all our events got canceled. That was a problem, but it was a challenge. And then it became the opportunity to move us into digital. And we did that pretty, I wouldn't say seamlessly, but pretty quickly and effectively. So, like I said, it really pushed us into the digital space, which we were kind of dipping our toe in. And, one of our friends came in and pushed us in the pool. So
right. And it's like, remember back in March, Jeff, I feel like we were so naive. Remember, we were like, oh, this is going to be, and I remember like the schools were going to shut down, and in March, we were going to be like back after spring break. And I remember the parents were like, oh, how can we not have school for 3 weeks? And the kids were like, yeah, we're not going to school for 3 weeks. And we're like, we're just going to take an extended spring break. We're going to be back in April. And everybody, I think even organizations were like, well, we're just taking a little bit of a break. We're going to watch this thing blow over, and then we're going to be back. No one ever imagined. But to your point, you said earlier, you guys were already thinking about how do we move this online? How do we move, events to become more digital? And like you said, it's like kind of getting pushed into the pool, the deep end of it, right? But you got there.
Yeah. And, like you mentioned earlier, it gave us an opportunity to expand our reach, because our meetings, for the most part, were in Metro Detroit. So either you lived in Metro Detroit and you go to them, or you had to fly in and you get a room and all this other stuff. So now we've got someone from Ontario that's joining us today, on this. And I've had people in England join our meetings. And it's different, but it's a good kind of different, I think. One day we'll get back to the in-person meetings, I'm sure. Right. But this is really, I feel like it's expanded our geographic reach. We're basically North American based. We are North American based, but obviously even getting to other states, we do some travel around to other states, but this really gives us the opportunity to bring people in regularly to our meetings. So I don't want to say it's been a good thing, but it's been a nice opportunity.
You've adapted well to this challenge. And I love kind of the mindset of this too, because what's the glass is half full, the glass is half empty. And there was a friend of ours, Terry Bean, who had, I don't know if you saw it was like a post he put up on LinkedIn. I'll try to add it in the comments later, but it's like a picture of two fish that are in the glass of water.
I did see that.
And it's like one fish is facing down and he's like, wow, this is amazing. And the other fish is facing up and he's like gasping for air. And it's all in perspective was kind of the joke, right? And glasses half empty, glasses half full. You can look at every situation and you can say, why did this happen to me? Or I love Jeff is saying, hey, it's an opportunity, right? And what do we do with this? What do we do next with this, right?
Yeah. So, it's, even like you mentioned here, we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and wherever else. That's where everyone is now. Everyone's on, you can't, I'm not going to have a meeting at my house and have 300 people show up, but, everyone's on this, this is where people are. Everyone's gone digital. So, this is, again, another opportunity. And we talked about this. We had a marketing event a few weeks back or months. I don't even know anymore.
I know. It's like, what are we in September, April? Where is it, Thursday or Sunday? I don't even know like what day it is, what month it is.
I was at the store and they're putting out Christmas stuff already. I'm like, come on, that's a little too soon, but so it's just a shift to digital. Like, we've been, having meetings and, people can't make it or something comes up. And if they could just dial in, they could get the benefit of the information at the meeting. And we were like, okay, well, we'll try it. And we did it a couple times, but, this really accelerated that and created a great opportunity for us.
Right.
And we could have just sat back and folded our arms and said,
yeah,
well, that's it for meetings. We can't do them anymore.
Close the book, guys. We're done. We're going to wait until
basically
2021, right? And that's it.
Basically, yeah. Let's hope we can survive.
Yeah.
Take our cans back to make
Right.
ends meet.
Exactly. And are you starting to have any conversations within your organization yet about smaller in-person meetings? I know, like here in Michigan, you know, our governor, we have different rules, and I think you can have up to 10 people in small groups, and you know, outdoor I think is a little bit different. You can have people in person, and we're in September, so we got some nice weather, but it's going to get cold fast here. So are you guys starting to talk about that yet, or are you still just kind of going virtual, and that's kind of the course for the foreseeable future?
We are committed through the end of the year to do everything virtually.
Yeah.
And I think even if we want to go into the office for anything, like we have to get clearance from our CEO, we have to get approval, and you know, it's been kind of weird. You know, obviously it's been weird for everybody. But, you know, we're talking about it, but not until 2021 to actually have in-person meetings. And, you know, even to have, if I were to go out and meet you for lunch, I would have to sign a form and have my CEO sign off on it.
Really? As like a work lunch thing, you're saying?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. So they're being, but I mean, what I like about that is I think they're being protective of their employees. It sounds like your CEO and your management team. Trying to be careful because, you know, it's kind of like if we could all just stay in timeout a little bit longer, this thing is going to go away. But the more it spreads, and, you know, it's challenging for everybody. And the goal, I mean, you said, Jeff, I mean, we all want to be back to normal, but in the meantime, it's kind of like we're trying to do the best with what we have. And I like the fact that you said you are now planning on your events through the end of the year, which probably makes it easier for you and your planning team, right? To know that it's all virtual the rest of the year.
Yeah, because we know which platforms to use for the big events, the ones that need breakout rooms. You know, most of them we could do this one, but other ones we need a bigger platform where we can, you know, like I said, do individual networking with people.
Okay.
So everyone's got a different function. So we know what we're doing and we know what we need to do it. So it's good to know where we're at least in the short term. Well, I guess long term.
Yeah, I know. We don't know. I mean, I kind of even feel like where we are right now, even if they said today, like COVID's gone, you know, where we've got it, either the vaccine's available or it's not spreading anymore or whatever. Something happens today. I think it's still going to be, and this is just me, Brenda Meller, prophesizing on this, but I think it's still going to be 60 to 90 days until we're back to normal after that line in the sand is drawn, because there's a comfort level thing that happens, you know, with people. And we had to quickly go from in person doing everything to, do you remember like when the handshakes stopped, Jeff? I mean, do you remember that? And I want to show, as you're thinking about that, I want to pull up your LinkedIn profile up on screen, because you know, I'm showing this up on screen because Jeff has in his LinkedIn header photo, I love it because it's Jeff reaching out his hand to shake, you know. Do you remember the last time you shook hands with somebody in a meeting? Do you remember that?
Gosh, no. In fact, last night it was weird. I went outside. I took the garbage out last night, and my neighbor was out, so we started talking. Yeah. Another neighbor drove by, and I haven't never met him, and I was like, "Hey, how you do?"
Right. Yeah, did you do one of those awkward, like, yeah? It can be awkward, yeah. But yeah, it's
probably that MSCD event.
I was trying to think, like, I think we were still. Wasn't that like, I feel like that was back in the time where things were starting to get a little weird, but it wasn't feeling like anything major was on the horizon. I mean, we couldn't really have known back then. I mean, but
it's funny you mentioned that, because a couple of weeks prior to that, I was at Kobo for a volleyball tournament with my daughter, and there were literally hundreds of thousands of people bumping into each other, sitting next to each other. And one of the dads of my daughter's volleyball team, his company does business in Wuhan. And he's like, this stuff is killing us, man. He's like, we can't get anything. Everyone's locked down. You can't get out of your house. He's like, it's killing us. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? We're here in Kobo, and everyone.
Right. You know, when was that? What month was that in?
I think that was February.
So it was, yeah, but we were like, because we've heard of things before, and we're like, oh, it doesn't happen here. It's not going to happen here. It's not going to affect us, and it's all going to blow over. And it's kind of like, remember the killer wasps or hornets or whatever those things were. What
Murder
happened?
hornets?
Did they just go murder hornets? Did those just go away, or was that like not a thing? I mean, it's like we heard this. This is like the next thing that's going to be happening, and we're like, now we don't hear anything about it at all, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know that I think they caught one over in Oregon or something like that. And
that was it. And we're on to the next news story.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Now we're at a coin shortage, and then there's fires, and California's on fire, and just.
But what's weird here in Metro Detroit? I mean, we're like, we're in the Midwest here, and we're pretty far away from California. For those of you who are watching, we're not anywhere near it. But Jeff, have you noticed, like in the morning or at night, the sunrise and sunset? It's different. It's like it's a hazy shade of like orange, yellowish. And it's different. It's kind of like you look at the sun, it almost reminds me of like looking at an eclipse. Like it's super bright, but it's also kind of shaded at the same time. So I really feel for people. I'm not sure if anyone watching is with us watching from California. I know things are kind of really challenging out there. Hopefully, though, the wind takes things away and moves things along. But we are all dealing with, different problems, challenges, and in Jeff's term, turning them into opportunities and redefining your reality. So Jeff, I have to ask you, are you normally a positive person? Are you just like, do you wake up in the morning and are you like the Disney princess with the bird on your finger and whistle while you work and all that good stuff? Or
I wish I could say so, but I don't know. It kind of comes and goes,
Yeah.
I kind of usually when it's somebody else's opportunity, I'm more positive than when it's mine. So, yeah, I mean, it's a struggle, to try and create that mindset where, things are, I mean, not everything's always cheering. You get a bad day and, have a bad run-in with somebody and there's nothing you can do about it. But, you try and do as much as you can. Bangladesh, oh my God.
Yeah. See?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you try and change your mindset, catch yourself, if you start going down a path of negativity, try to change your mindset and make your own reality better. Because if you're just upset and negative, it's only hurting yourself. Nobody else really cares. If you're change yourself to be positive, and then people might find you annoying, but at least you're happy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I think part of it too, Jeff, is probably surrounding yourself with positive people. People like this lady right here, Carolyn.
Yeah, Carolyn, she's the best.
Right?
Great.
I mean, she's like oozes inspiration, but she's also like, I mean, I'm friends with her on different social media platforms, and she's real. And sometimes she's kind of like sarcastic in her humor and things like that. And I can relate. We're both working moms, so I kind of relate to some of the things she's talking about. And I see that from you too, Jeff. I mean, when you're posting on social media, you're talking about business stuff sometimes, but then sometimes you're just a real person. And we all kind of have things that we are dealing with and issues, but like sometimes it's just being real and relatable, right? Can be part of that process.
And it's easier now to be fake. Right. I can hide behind the camera, but there's some, like you said, when somebody's being real, when somebody's being fake. And I think, I said this in another meeting, if you're trying to give off this persona of I'm always perfect all the time and everything's great in my life, and then someone knocks on your door and the dog starts barking, and here I am going, what? It's real. I mean, it's okay. We're all stuck at home. You don't have to be perfect. Just be real, be yourself.
Yeah. And this whole process, you talk about redefining your reality. We've all had to do that, right? I mean, we had to kind of redefine what working looks like, both from an employer perspective and an employee perspective, and then even like an event attendee perspective. Because to your point, you can't drive to these events anymore. You can't meet in person. So I'm curious, what have you noticed that's been changing? And maybe what have you learned along the journey as well in terms of making virtual events effective, making them worthwhile for your attendees? Anything you want to kind of share there?
Well, it goes back to our basic premise of our mission is to, provide value to our members. And if you're providing value, that you can do it virtually or in person. The only thing that you're missing in person is, shaking the hands. And some people are really adamant about that. We've had some members say, I'm not signing up for any of your events so we can meet in person. I'm allowed to shake somebody's hand and exchange a business card. And we're like, okay, well, who knows when that's going to be?
Yeah.
But as long as you're providing value, I think people, they will come. And if you've got a reputation for providing value, which I think OESA does, people will come. They'll check it out.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, we do these networking where it's one-on-one. So it's almost like you and I in a room, a breakout room, and we're just talking.
Yeah.
And some people prefer that besides having someone standing behind them and we're talking and they, your competitors behind you, and
that's true.
They like it better. So
is that something your attendees have requested to do the breakout rooms, or is it something you're offering to them, or you're placing them in the breakout rooms? How does that process work?
So it's something that we offer as part of usually our OEM town halls, because, we bring in the heads of purchasing. And this is something we've done live for many years. So, we bring in the heads of purchasing. So, supplier member A can go meet this, purchasing officer, or, whatever he's selling, he can meet the purchasing guy or girl. And, I've heard comments where, I've been trying to get a hold of this person for months and they won't return my calls. And here I am, I spent 15 minutes talking to them about our product. So, we just kind of take that and translate that into the virtual setting. It's, I don't want to say it's clunky, but it's different, but they still get the opportunity. They still get to talk to the person. They still get to exchange contact information, still get to tell them about their products, and hopefully create an opportunity for both of them.
When you guys do the sessions, are you recording your sessions and making them available for playback by your attendees, or is it all just kind of live? And I know it probably depends on the topic, and you probably have to check with the presenter beforehand and the attendees, because maybe you're having confidential conversations and they don't want them.
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. For the most part, we do share presentations. Sometimes we don't. It's all up to the speakers. I mean, no one's really sharing any secret sauce, but some people are protective, and when they bring their legal team in, they say you can't share that, and they're just like, sorry, we can't. So then.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with, you're dealing with the whole OEM environment and a lot of layers and, large organizations as well. And it may be in their best interest, just be a little bit more selective or protective about sharing that information, which makes sense. But I love to hear, different techniques, because there's so many people that are probably watching today that are involved within events, whether you're attending them, you're planning them, maybe you've attended some of Jeff's events through OESA. But if you guys have resources, if you have tips that you'd like to share, techniques that you think work well, or things you think just don't work at all, join the conversation, drop some comments in, and we're actually going to move now into Q&A. So this is the grilling Jeff part of the interview. So Jeff, if you had a bright light, if you could turn it on your face right now, like we're grilling you at the police station, that'd be great.
I've been in situations like that.
So I'd really like to invite all of you to participate in the conversation. Ask a question below, just drop it into comments right now and, join the conversation. So I'm kind of going through comments here, and I want to see if there's anything that's come in yet from our audience. And I see a couple of additional names I think that we both know. Pamela Lippett, I hope there's not a rare mosquito coming in Michigan, because I can't anymore. I'm just done. I'm going to bed until 2021. If there's something else happening, I can't. Carolyn liked the visual Jeff as a Disney princess. Could you imagine it, Carolyn? The little, Jeff Lake whistling and the bird on his finger. Could you imagine that? Right?
Well, the dogs do chase me out of bed when I get up, so I don't know if that counts.
Yeah. What kind of dogs do you have, and what are their names?
They're mixes, Sadie and Macy.
Okay. I always say, when people talk about pets or dogs, I'm like, oh, are they there? Can we see them? Sometimes we'll get a dog barking in the background, and the person's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I go, no, you have a dog? Where's he at? Can you bring him on camera? We get really excited,
Yeah. So the old one is pretty laid back. The younger one I had to close in the bedroom upstairs, because it's also garbage day and she hates the garbage truck. So.
Oh yeah, you got that. Yeah, we got garbage day for us here too. So yeah, I hear you there. So Paul actually has a question. Our question from Paul. Inspirational picture behind you, Jeff, and I'm looking at it. I'm going to point to it over here. This one right here. So yeah, what is it? And tell us about that. Is it strategically placed? I'm guessing yes. And is there a specific reason? And I want to know about the one over your other shoulder too, with the directional arrow. So what do you got? What do you got behind you there?
So this one is actually one my wife bought, and it's all about family. And I don't know if you can family rule. So share, say I love you, hug often. And it's my daughter's we got to update the pictures, but some old pictures of here we go. So there's, some old baseball photos, just the girls together. If you're looking at this one over here, we did a team bonding thing at OESA where we went to painting with a twist. And the challenge was to do, they're basically directional signs, different beach stuff, and you could do your own thing. So I decided to do the Michigan Lakes. So if you can read it, but they're Superior, Erie, all the other ones. And the Michigan I did in the U of M colors. So that was pretty
very
funny.
Cool. And for those of you guys watching, do you remember the acronym they taught us in school? There's like a 5-letter word. Do you remember what it was, Jeff, to remember what the Great Lakes were?
Nope.
Homes. HOMES. And there's a Great Lake with the letter. So H is Huron. O is Ontario, right? M is Michigan. E is Erie. And S is Superior. Did I do it? I think I got them all. Is that everything on your sign?
I'd have to look.
See if I got it right.
Did you say Ontario?
I think I said Ontario. I think I got them all right in there. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, that was a little accurate, but that's kind of cool. So it's a team building exercise, but there's also that regional component that kind of went along with it.
And on the screen behind me.
Yeah, so let me pull that up again. Hold on.
That is a picture I took from a kayak up at a lake up north, which I think they are spraying for those mosquitoes.
Oh no, I hope not.
Equine Ebola or something. I don't know what it is, but
I don't want to. I'm like la la la. I'm gonna put my fingers in my ear, not listen to this because I can't anymore. I just can't. And it's like this time of year. I don't know. Are the bees really bad by you, Jeff? Like I feel like this time of year, like they're more violent than normal.
So funny you should say that. I had a insect person at my house yesterday because I've got spiders, and then they said I've got a few yellow jacket nests, and so they're all over my house right now. So they're coming out and hopefully gonna scare them away pretty soon. But I was like, can't the spiders take care of the yellow jackets?
Right. There should be something with natural selection happening there. Like one.
She said, no, they don't touch them.
No, they don't do anything. Okay. And then I asked for, any tips on things too. And Pam Lippett had shared, more important than ever to take a beat and let the other person speak. And that's a good point, Jeff. I mean, I think that's one thing we struggle with in these virtual events. There's one person speaking at a time.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to do, like, even in this interview, we've kind of picked up on the cadence, when you're talking, and I kind of feel like I know when you're done talking, so I can jump in, and vice versa. We're trying to add a little bit of that space in there. And then between leg and needing more time to think before speaking. Yeah, it's sometimes you get the little audio, little half-second glitches too, like where the person's audio isn't synced up with yours too, so it can be a little bit.
It's funny. It's just like the conference calls of the days of yore, where you're on mute. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my connection. Yeah.
Somebody's got to have like a Zoom or meeting bingo card. Remember, like the old like meeting bingo. Like, let's take that offline. There was like all these little expressions you could like cross off of your corporate lingo bingo. There's got to be like a Zoom one, and one like I imagine like the center square is probably got to be you're on mute, because that's like you have every single call. You're on mute. We can't hear you. Like that type of thing, right?
There is one. I could share it if you like.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. And then if it's something I can link to, I'll throw it in the comments for the show as well. So as we start to kind of move into wrap the conversation here today, Jeff, I'm going to pull up your LinkedIn URL back up on screen again, and share with us, are you open to connecting with folks that are watching the session here today, or what's kind of your philosophy there?
Yeah. I'm usually pretty open for most people, but if you send me 3 messages in a row telling me what a great product you have or service you're offering, then I'm going to delete you.
Do you ever try to sell them back? I try to do that with salespeople. So when you get the pitch in a sales in an invite, like do you like say, here's our website if you want to sign up to become a member?
I should.
You should.
Take one of your tips. Put a personal message in there. Where do we meet? How do you know me? More likely to connect. How we can benefit each other.
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody trying to sell me stuff for, I'm not going to call it out, but
no,
a business that I'm not in. And he kept on drilling and drilling and drilling. He's like, we can bring in foot traffic. And I'm like, you have no idea what I do. So
right. You haven't even looked at my profile. I mean, obviously, like what I've been starting to do lately is when I get the spammy looking, salesy looking invites, I just reply back with 4 letters, test, T-E-S-T, test. That's all I reply back to. And what happens is like the real people will reply back and say, I'm not sure what you mean, or what's going on, or like sometimes I get the funny people that will say, of the emergency broadcast system, like they'll have something in there. But I get them talking, and that's kind of the key. And then the people who don't respond, I'm like, I know they're using some automated tools or things like that. But to echo what Jeff just said, guys, and here's his profile up on screen here. He's reaching out his virtual handshake as you greet him online there. I love it. Was that at an OESA event? Where was that event at? Do you remember, Jeff?
Yeah, that was at our marketing event in 2019.
Okay.
Where, one of my tricks I used to use when we do in-person meetings is I'd walk around and work the crowd. It gives me a little more level of comfort, knowing the people in the crowd. And this was something I was taught a long time ago. Walk around, meet people so you know who you're dealing with. And 99% of the time I would pick up some nugget that I would use later in the day. I was talking to Brenda today, and she mentioned, putting a nice link in your profile. And, so you can always get little nuggets. And it's a little tougher now. However, we've started our meetings like we did today. We logged in together and we started chatting. We've started letting people log into our meetings, 10 minutes before they start. So, we could say, hey, look who's here. Hey, nice to see you. What's going on?
Yeah.
So it's you got to kind of translate the live into the virtual. And it's not always easy because people aren't comfortable on camera, and I get it, but this is our reality. And if we were in the same room, I would see your face. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And what I like to say is, like, how do we convert what we're doing in the world of the real people seeing each other in person to what we're doing now? And I love, and remember in the beginning, Jeff, when everybody was doing these Zoom meetings, you get like the icebreaker question. What's the first thing you're going to do after the pandemic is over? Like, we were asked the same question in every meeting or call. And then, it was kind of like getting to, and then you got like kind of the Zoom fatigue thing, people are doing too many Zooms and things like that. And now we're moving to this it's not hybrid because it's all virtual, but it is a hybrid in the sense of how are we incorporating things we used to do in person in our meetings into Zoom. And I am seeing more folks like you as well, opening up their meetings early and letting people know if you want to come in early, you can do networking. So my tip for all of you is when you guys are in a session like this, just like if you were in the room, and I love when you said you go around the room and you say hi to the people, do the same thing when you're in your Zoom meetings and your go-to. If you have the ability to message people, message and say, hey, Jeff, it's great to see you. Like, because I would do that if I was in the room with you, I'd walk across the room.
Right.
So you should do the same thing virtually, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, it's like I said, it's almost the same situation, but just physically different. But it's the same idea. I mean, you come to these meetings to meet people sometimes, network, learn, whatever from the presentation that's going on. But it's the networking is fun. That.
Yeah, it is. And it's, you give people permission to, you were talking about that, some people don't want to be on video, and I give people permission to turn their video off when they come into my meetings. I'm like, if you want to keep your video on, and I'm going to share something that Jeff, you and I were talking about, in our pre-show, we were talking, we're like, it's nice to see you. And you kind of jokingly said, it's nice to see any people. Like, it's just nice to see people. Like, besides love my family, nice to see people that are different than the people that are living inside my home that aren't wearing a mask. Because when you go out in public, you're wearing a mask. And we don't have to worry about the safety, but we can see people, right? In these sessions.
If you would have asked me a year ago what my favorite part of my job is, it's going out and meeting people. I love going to meetings. I love networking. I love meeting people. But now we're not doing that. And different people at the grocery store versus the people I would go to a meeting with. But, and you're not meeting them. You're not, even if I saw you in the grocery store, I might not recognize you because your face is covered.
Yeah.
I find myself staring maniacally at people like, do I know you? And then they're like, why are you looking at me?
They're like, because it's most of your face, and it's like if you can tell from their eyes. But even now, for many of us, we've gone without a haircut or ladies' hair color or things like that for months. And some of us have put on some COVID, 10 or 15. So we look a little different when you're seeing us in person. But in sessions like today, where we have the opportunity to see people on video, it's always great to do so. And I've enjoyed, having this conversation with you here today, Jeff. I want to give you the opportunity. Any final comments you'd like to share with us? Any events that are coming up right now with OESA you want to talk about? Shout outs? Do you want to break out a song? Anything? I mean, really feel free at this point.
Yeah, we've got OESA. We're constantly churning out events. Like I mentioned, we've got one going on right now with FCA Diversity Matchmaker event. We've got another one, I think maybe one or two more this week.
Okay.
We're basically launching. I got one this morning that I need to get launched. Our big one is our annual automotive supplier conference. It's coming up in November. Okay. So that's usually one of our biggest annual events, where we would bring 700 people in for the day. We start with a early morning breakfast.
Wow.
Have sessions throughout the day, have a sit down networking lunch. And then, we would round out the day, end it with a networking reception. And, we kind of translated that into, we're doing 3 different days this time.
When is that? Is that this year?
It's in November. Yeah, it's the one at the bottom. It's in November. So
I'm going to keep scrolling. Tell me when I have it up on screen.
There it is.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So it's November 9th through 11th. It's going to be sort of, I think it's 3 hours in the morning each day. So it's not like you're sitting in front of the screen for 8 hours. And we're going to have networking opportunities. You can see our list of speakers there. We've got, we've got some suppliers, we've got some OE speakers, we've got some political people that's going to be talking, because the election's happening. So it'll be an interesting conversation around that.
There's an election coming up.
Yeah, there's that too. We've got industry analysts to give us their perspective on what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's like I said, it's one of our most well-attended meetings every year. So this will be the first time, obviously, we've done it virtually. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great one.
Okay. And I'm trying to kind of multitask in the background. So I pulled the website up. There's the page address, but you guys could also, if you wanted to learn more about this, you can go to oesa.org/events and then just kind of navigate to the bottom of the page. Like Jeff said. All right, Jeff, anything else?
I think that's it. I guess. Thank you for having me.
I'm trying to grill you. Now I'm like putting you on spot for the awkward question. What did you forget, Jeff? You forgot something. What was it? Do you remember what it was that you forgot? No, I'm kidding. It's like when and parents of teenagers, if you have a teenager do this, just go into their room and say, I do this to my son right now. He's 15. I go into his room sometimes and I just go in there and I say, Joshua, is there anything you want to tell me? Like I can tell he's like the sweat. He's like, what? I go, is there anything you want to tell me? He's like, no. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And there's nothing going on. And he's like, no. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, okay. And I'll walk out of the room.
So what happened at school today?
Right. Share? Kind of freaking him out, right? Yeah.
This grilling hasn't been that hard. There hasn't been very many questions. Quiet.
No. I think, we did get a couple folks that were watching that know you. So I always tell people, like, if your coworkers are watching, you guys should be grilling Jeff too. Like, put him on the spot, ask him some tough questions. But no, this is not, my thing, this whole interview series I try to be inspiring, educational, informational. I really want this to be a good environment. I want my guests to be like wanting to come on and maybe wanting to come back. And I actually did see a comment on here, which I want to pull up on screen here. And who was it? Not the inspirational picture. Somebody was talking about, having a session where we talk about best practices. And that might be something, I think the comment may have been deleted, but someone said, hey, maybe doing, Jennifer was talking about practice session for all of our live streams, which our guests have said is extremely helpful. So that sounds like something interesting. But I think, Jeff, something to think about, and I'll put you on the spot for this. I might have a LinkedIn Live discussion someday with maybe 2 or 3 panelists. I would love to have you or someone from your team joining us, and we could talk about best practices for virtual events. Now we have 6 months, maybe 5 months under our belt of things that we've been doing. Yeah. And being realistic, we're going to be doing this for, I think, another 5 or 6 months at least. And
foreseeable future for sure.
Yes, foreseeable future is the code word right now, but it's going to be for a while. So what have we learned and how can we help others? And, finding people from different industries to bring into that discussion, because there's little nuggets. Like you said, like opening the meeting room early and encouraging people to do networking. There's other things that we can do. And then you said, like, putting people in breakout rooms. And maybe there's a way that we can kind of, when you go to an event you might get the opportunity to do a one-on-one with the speaker. So maybe you could sign up for a breakout room and get the opportunity, to your point, to have access to these people that you normally don't have access to. So there's probably some best practices we can share with each other, Jeff. So I'll put that out for you to think about, whether that's you or someone else. So maybe in, later October, November, we can continue that conversation. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Happy to do it, or find the right person.
Yeah, like I said, you can voluntold someone, if you will, to join that conversation, someone from your team. But I think it might be a good conversation to have.
No, I agree.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Jeff. Well, it's been a delight seeing you virtually. At some point, we'll see each other in person. At some point, we'll shake hands again. Probably the next time we see each other, we'll probably do the elbow bump or the wave from across the room.
Yeah,
well,
air
right?
hugs.
Air hugs are my favorite. All right, Jeff. Well, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate your time and sharing your insights today.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. It's been fun.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So as we wrap here today, I want to ask you for two things. These are simple things. One is, as soon as you leave, I want you to come back into the video and click share. And you can share the video. If you haven't posted on LinkedIn yet this week, that counts as your post for the week. So you can, say, I got my one post done. When you do so, make sure that you tag Jeff and myself, and we'll get a notification that you're sharing that along. There may be some great tips in here that others can benefit from what Jeff was sharing, or just that whole positive mindset. It's a positive thing to spread along. And the other thing is, if you can go to mellermarketing.com/subscribe, where you can join my VIP email list, and you'll get LinkedIn strategy tips as well as notifications for my upcoming LinkedIn Live series of Social Media Pie. And that's it for me. I want everyone to stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. And Jeff, what's next on the agenda for you? What are you doing after you're done with this call here?
I'm going to send out an email about our annual conference.
There you go.
I just gotta build it and get it out. But yeah.
There you go. Well, we'll hopefully spread the word. And I put that link in the comments on the video as well. And I'll make sure to include it in the playback link as well. Encourage and help you guys out a little bit there.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you online again soon. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.